Welcome back to Boring Gear Reviews. This week we've got the Rippletron from Monkey Riot Pedals. Thanks so much to Mike for sending me the Rippletron. So Monkey Riot Pedals is a pedal effects company based out of Nashville, Tennessee, and they are run and founded by Mike Purcell. And his newest pedal is the Rippletron. This is a vibrato, phase, trem type thing. It's kind of tricky to categorize because it's not it's not a traditional vibrato, it's not a traditional phaser, it's not a traditional tremolo. It sits kind of somewhere with all of them, and it's like a really beautiful, warm, analog sound of all of those categories. So our top controls are speed, which will obviously control like the speed of the LFO, and then depth, which will control the depth of that. On the bottom, we have wave and filter, and here's where the controls get a little more unique. So the wave is going to control kind of the shape and, I don't know, I guess like harshness of the waveform. So counterclockwise is like a wider and smoother waveform, and then the more clockwise you turn it, the more aggressive and like harsh and choppy it'll get. And then for the filter, this knob I found to be like super cool and useful. You don't often see resonant filters on modulation pedals, but that's what we get here, which makes for a really cool sound, and you can do a lot with it, more than just like rolling off treble or bass. So here we have a resonant filter. After that, we have what you can expect: true bypass foot switch, top jacks, and DC, and awesome metal enclosure that feels super solid. For today's demo, I'm using my 2023 Black Bobbin Jazzmaster, and this has Lollar Black Bobbin Jazzmaster pickups. And from there, we'll be going into my UAD Apollo X6, and that will be going into the Softube JMP 2203 amp sim. In this first clip, we're going to be running kind of like a mellow tremolo vibrato thing. What I really loved about this sound is that it's almost like an auto volume swell with like the pace of a tremolo or a vibrato. Anyway, we're going to have the speed and depth just past noon, and then we're going to max out the wave control and then completely turn off the filter control. In the first section, you'll hear the clean tone, and then I'll engage the Rippletron. And here you'll hear how kind of warm and, I want to say vintage, but I don't mean that to sound like it's unclear or muffled or anything like that. It's not at all. It's just like a super warm, natural, organic sound. And then in the second section, I'm going to engage the Old Blood Noise Endeavor's Screen Violence. If you'd like to see a full demo of the Screen Violence, click the link right here. And here we'll have some like mid-level distortion with modulated reverb. So what I like about this is that the modulation from the Rippletron is very clear before like this big reverb comes in. Once it comes in, the Rippletron just maintains a texture and like a movement to the overall sound that really makes it feel exciting, and it's just more interesting. There's just more going on, but it's not busy or crowded or anything like that. It just makes for a really gorgeous sound. Sometimes I find with modulation pedals that they can really get in the way, where it feels like, man, don't you hear that modulation? Like it's very apparent, which is not necessarily a bad thing at all. Sometimes you definitely want that, but sometimes you don't. And sometimes you want a modulation that will sit back and kind of bloom as you change your pick attack, which is what I found here. So like the harder I dig in, the more it kind of sits back. You still hear it, but it sits back. And then the softer I play, the more it kind of comes up. It's really awesome. Enjoy. All right, so in this next clip, we're gonna dive into more of like the tremolo sounds of the Rippletron. So here we're gonna have the speed at 3, the wave around noon, the filter around 1 or 2, and then the depth at 9. And that'll be going into the Death by Audio Echo Dream 2 for some gritty lo-fi delay. If you'd like to see a full demo of the Echo Dream 2, click the link right here. This is like my favorite sound from the Rippletron. It's just a beautiful vintage voiced tremolo. It's super soft and really organic sounding. And again, I love like a really choppy tremolo. If you look at some of my other demos when I've used tremolo, you've heard me talk about that. But that definitely has a very specific place. What I'm also really, really in love with the tremolo is just a very smooth, natural sound that doesn't distract you. Like, you definitely hear it's going on, but it doesn't take you out by kind of starting and stopping the signal. So this maintains like a perfect level while adding a lot of movement without feeling kind of seasick or anything like that. And the way these two pedals complement each other is really outstanding. So you get this gorgeous, warm, soft tremolo and this kind of really, not mangled, but definitely gritty lo-fi delay from the Echo Dream 2. It's like a, one of the desert island sounds. All right, and in this last clip, we're going to be using the Rippletron more kind of as a phaser. I mentioned the filter control. So it's as if like it's phasing the resonance of the filter. I don't quite know how to describe it. It is super cool. It allows you to get this really throaty, there's like a wah aspect of it. And it pairs so well with like a heavy distortion. So we're bringing back the screen violence, and here we're just going to kind of really boost the gain and hear the kind of extremity of the Rippletron. So we're going to have this big wash of sound, this kind of shifting and moving wave of EQ that was like super fun and satisfying to play. In the beginning, I'm going to roll the volume back on my guitar and I'll finger pick a little bit so you'll hear how well it kind of maintains that movement, even at softer settings. And when I roll up the volume and dig in harder, it's just this huge sound, like I said, which is a ton of movement, and it was awesome. Enjoy. And that's a wrap for the Monkey Riot Pedals Rippletron. I'm not sure I've played a pedal like this before. I mean, I've definitely played vibrato pedals and tremolo pedals and phasers and stuff like that, but the way it kind of blurs those lines all in one box is pretty cool. It just sounds, like I said, it really does sound warm and analog and inviting. It is not a sterile sound by any stretch of the imagination, but it's also not gritty or noisy or anything like that. I don't know, it's just warm. It just sounds super warm and beautiful. Monkey Riot has a huge lineup of pedals. I definitely suggest you check him out. He's got a ton of cool stuff. Links for everything in the description below. If you like what you heard, please consider hitting that subscribe, like, share, and all that stuff. I really appreciate it. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next week for another demo. Peace.